Recording in progress.
There, unmute. Good morning, dear Dharma friends. Is there sound? Yes. Good morning, Janine. Nice to see you. No sneaking in around here. Checking switches. Yes. Good. So, oriented as to date, it is Wednesday, the 6th of October, 2021. I still take myself today to be Robert Beatty in my relative form. I also happen to be the infinite vastness of the universe, as are we all. How wonderful to meet you in your relative form. Otherwise, how could we hug? I forgot to turn on my light. I am coming to you from Portland, Oregon. Still or again. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. I have a very short poem this morning. I don't know, I should look it up sometime. Ryokan, Japanese Zen teacher, I think relatively early 12th century or so. Anyway, it goes like this. You have to pay attention, it goes by very fast. Done begging in a rundown village. I make my way home between green boulders. Late sun hides behind western mountains. Pale moon glints on the stream before me. I wade in, wash my feet, climb onto a flat rock, light incense, and meditate. After all, I can't spend my whole life doing nothing. Done begging in a rundown village. I make my way home between green boulders. Late sun hides behind western mountains. Pale moon glints on the stream before me. I wade in, wash my feet, climb onto a flat rock, light incense, and meditate. After all, I can't spend my whole life doing nothing. Jim has researched the origins of that. 1758 to 1831. Done begging in a rundown village, I make my way home between green boulders. Late sun hides behind western mountains. Pale moon glints on the stream before me. I wade in, wash my feet, climb onto a flat rock, light incense, and meditate. After all, I can't spend my life doing nothing. So, dear friends, there's not much predicting what state we will come out of sleep into. What can be predictable is that we have a practice of pausing before heading out into the world, of taking stock, of of reminding ourselves of the refuge, in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And let's not go about taking refuge in a robotic way. In fact, let's give up being robots completely. Instead, let's awaken to every single moment that we can or that we are. I take refuge in the mysterious capacity of awareness. How do we do that? Nobody knows. We just do. We are that. I take refuge in the Dharma and the way things actually are, the way they manifest. And there's been a lot of getting ready to be here this morning. Waking up, bathing perhaps, bathroom functions, putting away the dishes from last night, getting dressed, making our way to our meditation spot. Quite a commitment to meet one another here on the Dharma ground. And let's now put everything away. Let's make a commitment to just sit and be here. Let our water bottles and our coffee and our messages on the phone wait, or let them cease to exist, actually. Become a rock. Become a conscious rock. This is a breathing rock. Notice how breathing in and breathing out happen. This beingness that sits here is part of an aliveness which we could call the planet. There are certain laws that are in play. The laws of chemistry and physics, the laws of karma. The natural and beautiful, inevitable dance of conditions, causes and conditions. So we have an aspiration to be more happy, more loving, more compassionate, more content, to live well and die well. Fortunately, we don't have to make up the path. We just have to walk it. So there's certain conditions that we cultivate. Mindfulness. I aspire to be awake. Curiosity. We're not just sitting here to bliss out or to get away from something. We're curious. A quality of persistence or effort or energy. Again and again we take up concentration with coming home to breathing. Gently, no tight-fistedness, no straining. Just a replanting the seed of presence and focus on the breath. We cultivate a quality of tranquility, of equanimity. We accept that which arises. Remarkable, isn't it, how this all can come from simple mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing. We might also intentionally open the door to gratitude. It's the antidote for, one of the antidotes for that sense of, poor me, ain't it awful? Woke up again this morning. Could get out of bed. The comfortable home still existed, probably for most of us. There are people who love us. We have the Dharma. The heart keeps beating. And so we take responsibility for being a human being, for having a life to live, for breathing in and breathing out. In our exploration of the inner landscape, there may well be the 5 hindrances. Some of them, all of them, none of them. There could be wanting. There could be wanting, not disliking, pushing away. There could be restlessness, agitation, and worry. There could be sloth and torpor. Let us come home to ourselves, to this moment, to this breath, with great love and compassion. There is a body sitting here. Rupa, matter. The first foundation of mindfulness, the first pasture of abiding is the body. Please come home to the life in the legs, the feet. Notice how the life in the pelvis, the buttocks, the thighs, relates to the life of breathing. Receive the life of the hands and fingers, the forearms, the elbows, the upper arms. The face, the eyes, the fingers and hands, it's all alive. Awareness meets the living body as it breathes. Each breath, each thought, they're all invitations to be awake. You may well discover that the mind settles down and rests relatively easily in the breath. Or it doesn't settle down at all and is restive, struggling. Know it for what it is. Body, thoughts, sensations. Time and again we cultivate curiosity. How at home can I become in this body? How closely can mind and matter dance with each other? In the Satipatthana Sutra, the instructions for mindfulness include, and abandoning remorse and covetousness for the world. Letting go of the past and future. Be here. Be here with breathing in and breathing out. Be here with the aliveness, which is the legs, the feet, the torso. And we bring to this time of practice an intention of great love and compassion. I aspire or intend to love and accept myself and reality, the way things actually are, exactly as they are right now in this moment. as living beings and as mammals and as humans. We must attend to the likings and dislikings, the cravings, the repulsions. We must seek out the pleasure of food and avoid the pain of getting burned or hurt. And the Buddha said, that's all well and good, but at some point we must also set ourselves free from robotic reactivity to liking and disliking. Second foundation of mindfulness. Notice how the mind likes certain states, dislikes others, likes certain sensations, dislikes others. All day long, at all the sense stores, liking and disliking. So we're mindful of that too. In that sacred pause between stimulus and response. We still come home to breathing, or simply sit and be aware of what's happening. Resting here. Resting in breathing and out breathing. Each breath has its birth. It then rises to fullness, declines, and then vanishes. Same with each thought. Each wave of liking and disliking. Come home to yourself. Wake up. There is absolutely no coercion in practice. It's all about love and compassion and waking up. And while we put effort into it, there's another way of looking at it, which is that the waking up is quite natural. The way flowers open in the springtime, or the way the seasons change into fall. And please now notice where your body touches the chair. Notice that it breathes. Notice where there's pleasant and unpleasant sensations. And bringing awareness into the life in the hands and the arms, the elbows and upper arms, and the neck and the face. And what if we were to conjure up a kind thought? Maybe it's the great mantra, I love you, with your name at the end. Or for many of us, there are words we've always wanted to hear. I'll stay with you. I'm so glad you were born. You're already okay. You don't have to earn every little shred of love that comes your way. You work plenty hard already. It's okay to rest. I'll help protect you. What is it that you really want to hear, need to hear? Be generous. Be really generous. And please now bringing awareness into the eyes and the face. And actually notice it as sensations, face, eyes. And then allowing the intention to form, to open the eyes, and then letting them open. Feel them as sensations. And maybe you can find your picture on the screen. Take a moment to look at that precious one-of-a-kind person. How would you wish them well? It's been a long ride to here, hasn't it? A lot of years. See this person that you may look at in the mirror periodically, and what if you were to say, I love you, to that one? Highly recommend doing this in an actual mirror. Notice any criticisms. Oh my gosh, the sagging here and the this there, the wild eyelashes, the crazinesses. But I love you with yourself as the object. And then the thing I love to do in these postage stamp meetings is let your eyes rove from one person to another. Some of you are very familiar to me now. Some of you I've never met in person. That doesn't matter. We meet in the heart all the time. We've always been connected there. Every single one of us needs to be seen with great love and regard. Kindness, compassion. The line that struck me this morning was, you're already good enough. You've done enough. Imagine that. There isn't going to be some test where you finally get to be good enough. You'll get your degree as a person. Yes, you are a human being. You're still a bit nutty, maybe a lot nutty, but you actually get to graduate and be a real human being. Worthy of being loved. How about that? And so it's a practice. We remind ourselves to come back and see. We can do this with the people around us in the cars on the freeway. It's fun. You can see one of those silver tubes going across in the sky and imagine people jammed in there. Think about them. May whatever your journey is for be fulfilled. And so we get to head off soon into our day. Let's make the intention to be mindful. It's funny, it's 50 years I've been using this word mindful. Kind of sinks in after half a century. It's so simple. Let's just be here today. Jim, is there anything we should announce? Should.
I'm not sure, but I think Doug put out a last call for his class starting tomorrow.
Aha.
But I don't know if that was yesterday or the day before, or if it's still viable. I'm a little spacey right now.
Let me jump in there for a second. Doug Pullen, incredible human being. Poof. He went to India with my first wife and I. My wife and I were 26 and 28, I think, 27 and 28, and Doug was a 21-year-old college student. And we were together in India for 5 months, and then friends ever since. He's been doing this introduction to meditation class. I don't know how many iterations this is. This is probably, 25. And if you've never done it, even if you've been practicing for some time, you might find it really grounding because he just goes through the basics. And the basics are, of course, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And he does it with such a depth of wisdom and love and compassion that all I've ever heard is fine feedback from his class. So it's a possibility. Anything else? I interrupted you, Jim. Sorry.
No, there's no other announcements of classes, but I'm going to put the link to the fundraiser on chat
Oh, good.
and see what that's the
I was there yesterday, and I'll see if my picture's transferred over. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here it is. I can do it this way, I guess. Let me see here. Yeah. Here's the bathrooms. The front bathrooms are now looking like this. Oh, no, that's my front. That's our house. Here's the bathrooms. The picture of the risen Christ is now in the hall. It's the risen Buddha, actually. And what's happening is that the walls are coming out and new walls will be built in order to create wheelchair accessible bathrooms. And there's a schedule now of the next 2 months, and things are really happening. So oh yes, I guess that was the lead in to. And if you would like to, I just remembered a great little story. I learned this from Rachel Naomi Remen. How many of you know Rachel Naomi Remen? Raise your hand if you would. Quite a human being. She did the keynote speaker at a conference I was teaching meditation to doctors, and it's a short story. I'll tell you like this. So there's a great cathedral being built, and it's going to take 120 years, which is how long they took. The people who started building it never saw the completion. How about that? It was common. Right? These giant cathedrals in Europe, they didn't have cranes and so on. And anyway, the story is about the 3 stonecutters. And the interviewer from CNN or Fox goes to the first stonecutter and who's there at the bottom of the wall and says, "What are you doing?" And the first one says, "Well, I'm a stonecutter. I cut these blocks. People bring me these rough blocks. I use this chisel and hammer, and I cut blocks, and they haul them up on the wall, and it's dirty work, but I get a paycheck and it's all right." And then the interviewer goes on to the second person, and they're doing exactly the same work. And the same question is asked: "What are you doing? What's your work?" And well, I'm cutting these blocks, and they go up on the wall, and sometimes I like it. Mostly it's kind of boring, but I have good benefits, and it's a union job, and it's good enough. And the interviewer goes to the third person and says, "What are you doing?" And they pause their work very mindfully and look up, and they get tears in their eyes, and they say, "I am part of something vast. I am building a cathedral. Every block that I cut here goes up on that wall. Look at the size of that wall. And look how beautifully I make them fit. I mean, my blocks fit perfectly. And I won't live to see it completed, but I know that people will come to this place as a place of pilgrimage, and they'll bring their sadness and their joy, and there will be weddings here and funerals. And I am part of something of such magnificence that every day I come to work, and even though it's hard and dirty, sometimes I just light up when I see this place." Consecrated work. Work that has meaning. And I say that in the context right here, that the most important thing we can do to support PIMC is our practice in getting together like this. and then to volunteer and participate and so on. And there's another, which is this fundraising process we're engaged in now, that if you have the capacity and want to do something really fine, and you haven't yet, or you're suddenly, you won the huge Powerball recently, you can take great delight in supporting this mission that, funny, I'm understanding more slowly, though there's been a bit of a leap recently. I am understanding the magnitude of what we're engaged in. PIMC is a place of radical human transformation. And the transformation is the love and compassion. So, if you want to play in that realm and you'd like to make a contribution, Jim has put the link in the box down below. Mostly, let's have a good time together. Speaking of which, anything you'd like to share?
Robert, it's Leanne.
Hello, Leanne.
Hello. I've been wanting to ask this question and not to put you or anybody on the defensive about the building. So I get why, while there is a building, it's important to do seismic upgrades and accessibility and all of that stuff. But why is it important to have a building? Why is it important to this community to have that building?
That's a great question. And what a pain in the ass it is to have a building sometimes. Well, way back when Ruth gave me the first check for $10,000 and said, here, start a center, we had a schism in the community. We lost over half the community when we bought the building, which is not uncommon. I was very relieved, actually. About a year later, Jim, you were there, I think. We had a meeting of Northwest Dharma Association at PIMC. And I shared sadly that we'd lost half the community when we moved. And there were several Zen groups there. And they laughed. And one of them said, we lost 2/3 and we lost 3/4. And so, and there was, and I don't mind at all the question. I think it's a very reasonable question. Some of the critique was very personal to me. Robert, you have an edifice complex. And one of the questions was, why not wash the windows of the poor rather than create windows of our own? So, there's several things that come to mind. One is this. I couldn't footnote it well, but around the turn of the last century, 19-something, in 1901, 1905, there was a large emergence of Buddhism in the New York, in the original colonies. It all disappeared. No one built centers. No one had structures. No one built organizations. So having a place that we congregate allows us to have stability and to become responsible. It also is one of the reasons for the seismic upgrade is that my prayer is that PIMC will survive if and when the really big one hits and will become a community resource of the highest order, life-saving. And I think that we could rent, but that would be very, uneconomic. Well, given the cost of the remodel, it's hard to know. But I think it has to do with being grounded on the earth, and like the monasteries in Asia, they have a place. They have a location upon which to develop, and also. Well, let me ask you, do you have another a refining question or comment?
Well, it just seems like an incredible amount of energy and money is going into something that I don't understand the value of. I mean, I hear the grounding and the stability and the carrying on that helps. I think in the pitches for money, and I just haven't heard why is this valuable? Why is this important?
That's a very good question. Have you been there? I can't remember your geography.
I live in Portland.
Yeah. Okay. So you do.
I have been there for things other than PIMC, like meetings, community. I've never been to a actual PIMC event there. I've just been there twice.
So the thing that comes, I'm gonna think about this because we should be clearer about it. I should be clear about it. I've been to, oh God, I don't know how many, hundreds. The Sunday morning sit happens, and then people gather for tea and coffee and hang out for an hour and a half or two sometimes after that, and community forms. And there's a garden to take care of, and people form around the garden. One of the things I met with Emily Schriefter yesterday, who's the widow of David. Oh goodness, how silly. Anyway, David passed away. Be a year in January. One of the things that we're going to create in the backyard is a garden of our beloveds, a place where we will have ashes and so on. So let me think about that. I think it's a great. It is about the formation of community. That's certainly a piece of it. And we've not had it together enough to do this, but prior to us, the building's been there since 1930, the main building. There have been years where people came there and got food. Where it was a community pantry sort of place. So let me think about it, and if anybody else has, and Jim, if you had a response, I'd be curious. It's a really good one of the questions that we asked, and I don't know that we made the right choice, but either we fix this building. I mean, one of the things we could have done is sold it and bought something new, or rented, I guess, somewhere. And it's a huge amount of money to put into an old building. However, the building does suit the purposes pretty well. And in terms of location, if we moved 2 miles, 3-4 miles away, we'd lose people again in big numbers because people have moved to be close to the center. But I'm going to take your question under reflection, if I may. Thank you.
Robert, I think that community building is something that's coming out in with much greater force since we started researching the expansion of the community into affinity groups beyond our white base. And I think that having a place where people could be together and work on, this one person, Larry Ward, wrote a book called America's Racial Karma. And it takes person-to-person connections over a long period of time to work out this karma we are involved in. We've had 300, 400 years of moving in one direction, and it's suddenly real clear to us how harmful it is, and how to work out of that takes slow, deep connection person to person. And we need our own space, because the space of our culture doesn't naturally make room for that kind of interchange, working through loving kindness into more compassionate heart. That's it's just not American. I better quit.
Yeah, up until the last second, you were doing good. There's another thing. Until quite recently, until COVID, we had run out of space for classes. We didn't have room anymore. We didn't have room to add classes. And so having a place where one can routinely do teaching and learning is really important. And I know Seattle Insight, I think Sims is, they're remodeling a building or something. But there is a movement, and there is a movement toward having a place to routinely meet is very helpful and expensive. New York Insight, I haven't, John Aaron, I haven't seen him in years. He came to PIMC one time. Their rent was $10,000 a month in New York City. And it wasn't a big place, but they had they had a building, and they had a building they rented. So more shall be. It's a great question. Thank you, Leanne.
Hi, it's Joy, me again.
Hello, Joy again.
I had such a strange experience yesterday at the Mennonite Brethren Collegiate Institute writing workshop.
I love that name. Could you say it again?
Mennonite Brethren Collegiate Institute. That's where I went to school, and my mother.
Uh-huh.
And so we had a group of high school students, and I was talking about finding your own voice and how important that was. And the next instructor said they should pray to Jesus to find out what the Lord wanted them to write about and how God had given them this gift, and they should seek guidance on expressing it. And I was kind of surprised because it brought me back to all the religious rhetoric I'd grown up with. And I couldn't believe it was still there. It was all there. and I thought, I don't want to be anywhere near this place. So it tested the limits of my compassion. But then, I comforted myself because writers, and especially weirdo writers, are the most likely to escape from religious brainwashing. So I thought, almost everybody else will stay in that community and have a nice, happy life of mental programming. So, anyway, it was really funny. I mean, what did I expect?
Well, I'm glad you survived.
Well, and then I also remembered that almost all of the Mennonite writers, like Miriam Toews, are savage in their indictment of the culture they grew up in. So it's kind of dangerous for them to foster creative writing. Mm-hmm. And they need to have controls in place to make sure kids understand that Jesus will tell them what to write. And the words of Jesus often come through very controlling church leaders. So that was all very, very interesting. I did escape, and it was very difficult because I totally believed that I accepted Jesus as my personal savior. I believed in heaven and hell. I believed everything. And then as I began to be aware of reality, it just sort of fell away, and I was kind of sad.
It's a big loss. And a great birth.
Well, that's why I like to think about reality and awareness, because we're so subject to fantasy worlds. Like the idea that these invisible beings are controlling our lives is, I think it's kind of delusional, because they don't think of it as metaphoric. It's not a metaphor, it's literal. And it's all still there. It's unbelievable.
I don't remember a lot of my diagnostic and statistical. Oh, this is as good a name as the Institute. The Psychiatric Bible is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, commonly known as the DSM system. And it's an amazing document. People have worked for lifetimes to create the definitions and so on. But there's one definition in it that I really have made great use of, which is delusion. That delusions are ideas, are beliefs which are held, firmly held, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Except if they are articles of religious faith, in which case they're not delusions.
Hilarious.
That's how the psychiatry world gets around that.
Wow.
And the Buddhists, that I use that term around the delusions of permanence, satisfaction, and self, that there are these fundamental delusions that are part of who we think we are. And that the disillusionment that comes with awakening is that, no, in fact, they are structures, they are fantasies, but they are not the reality. So you're on quite a journey.
Well, I'm not sure if I should continue the workshops, because I can't stand that rhetoric that I grew up with.
You could go out with a flash, maybe, or you could go out nicely. And
I'll just say I'm busy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very difficult.
So there's those young people. There's those people there that you are reaching and helping, I would guess, as well.
Most of them will stay in that community, though, and the ones that don't fit will find their way out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just if it nourishes you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I was just totally. Well, I have very little compassion for. We're supposed to be compassionate for diversity, but that community, I don't know.
So, may I push you a little bit?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I don't feel very articulate this morning, but
it's okay.
But to have compassion for an organization which one has escaped from, or for myself to have compassion for the cult leader with whom I spent 5 years subjugated.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken a long time, but I have a lot of compassion for him because I understand how deluded he was, how confused he was, and so it's ultimately our movement is toward compassion for all beings. But it doesn't mean we don't have boundaries and say, nope, I'm not going back there again.
Right. Well, thank you for listening. I really appreciate all the work that's done in this community. And I'm really sorry. I might never go to Portland again, so I'll miss seeing that beautiful building. Mm-hmm. But I do value buildings.
Had just wrote in the chat, this cyber community is essential. And please rest assured, I already know the fellow who came and helped me with the sound here the last time. I believe PIMC is going to hire that company to create a hybrid meeting system such that it runs easier than this. And we'll have in the hall, in the big hall, we will likely have 3 cameras. There will be a large monitor facing the group in the hall, and we'll be able to do hybrid teaching without it being a pain in the ass. It'll still be a drag, but because having two audiences is complicated for the teacher. But we're going to do it, and we're going to do it well. So those of you that are not in Portland, don't have no fear, because we're going to take it seriously. Plus, they get some really great hardware. Oh, dear, that was a confession. I mean, people are really working to figure out how to seamlessly meet, and people in business and the military, for that matter, are figuring out how to meet seamlessly over distance. And so why should we not avail ourselves of it and not make it rinky-dink, but really solid? Anybody else have anything you'd like to share before we head out?
Good morning, Robert. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh.
It's Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
It is. I've spent the entire meditation going from phone to computer to giving up and going outside, taking a few pictures of the new fresh snow on the mountains, and coming back and having the internet come in and come out. And it's crazy making. So all the fancy equipment you may get at the center will do nobody any good if they can't even get on the internet.
That's true.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All we can do is our best to be accessible.
Yes, absolutely. And I can do my best to access you and the sound.
Is there no way you can increase your internet capacity?
I have no idea.
Ask
whom.
Who do you get your internet through? Is it the phone company? Is it a cable company?
Yes. I assume it's the phone company.
Well, find out, because you could. I'm on a very high speed line here at my home. I can upload and download at blistering speeds, and the difference in cost was $20 a month.
Yeah, I have complained to TELUS last year, and someone got online, and they do it. They don't even have to come to your house. They check the lines and all that, and say, "Well, there's nothing wrong on our end." And I was insistent that they come and check upstairs where I'm connected and so forth. And they said, "No, there's nothing wrong. You're just fine."
It might be a different question, which is, can I pay you more to have better access?
And they wouldn't offer that?
They might, but you might check again, because and things are always changing.
Yes, they are. And they sold some portion. I think the new people coming online on the island, they sold, another company took over, but I'm still with the original company. And the new companies had nothing but complaints. So I don't know if this is typical of a small island community or what, but it's one side of the island is different from the other side, and it depends on who your provider is, and it's very discouraging.
Well, good luck with it.
Thanks.
Hi, Robert. I would just like to say something about, sometimes you seem to wonder about the usefulness of being on YouTube, that we can watch it, what I call the rerun. And I just wanted to share, it made me laugh. I didn't make it yesterday morning here, but it was literally 5 to 7 last night. And I looked at the clock and I said, hey, it's the same time. And delusion kicked right in, and I thought it was 7 in the morning. It was just 12 hours different. So a lot of times, and then sometimes I'll just come on and listen to sections to be really honest about it. Sometimes if I've missed the conversation, I want to hear that. So I very much appreciate it and wanted you to know that.
Yay. It seems to be working today.
Okay.
Any other last thing? I have to go soon, but is there anybody cooking on something you'd like to share?
I have a quick update from the last few days' difficulties. I was shanghaied by these clients yesterday. Apparently they feel like they need to supervise me. And I saw it for what it was. I had a really, really good sit yesterday. Plus I do these little quick 2 and 4 and 6 minutes during the day just to get recentered. And I saw the whole show from a distance. And all of a sudden in my mind's eye, there was this whole stage and these really, really bad props and a sort of a antiquated, made up fictional place. And there were the 3 of us on the stage, and I simply stepped away, turned around, looked at the stage, and saw it for what it was. Really, really a breakthrough yesterday.
Cool.
Yeah, it was great. No, it was great, great, great. And I didn't like the show, and it wasn't of interest, and it wasn't my place to even be there. So I simply stepped away. That was awesome.
And as you left, you burst into Shakespearean, all the world's a stage and all the men and women are merely players. And I'm out of here.
Yeah, usually my resolve is to dance. So I danced it out.
Good for you.
Thank you for that yesterday, all of you. Lots of support.
Well, shall we go out on Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam? Please unmute if you wish, and we'll sing up a storm. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe
Yeah.
Thank you, Robert. You all, Sangha.
Bye, dear friends.
Thank
See
you all.
Soon.
Thank you, almighty community.
Thank you all.